Hello everyone. In this video we are going to talk about Jenkins. What is the need of it, how we can use it in the current era. Okay. So let's see the introduction of Jenkins. Now if you see what all the topics that we are going to cover here in this particular video is what is Jenkins, what is continuous integration and how this Jenkins is helping us to do this continuous integration, then how we can install and configure Jenkins, how we can manage the security, what is job in Jenkins, how we can create that job with Jenkins, and then some example of Jenkins. Okay, and then we'll see what all the reference we can use going forward. Okay, now what is Jenkins? Okay, so in fact this is a open source project. Okay, and this is a open source integration tool, continuous integration. Why we call it as a continuous integration, we'll talk it. But this particular Jenkins was named with some other name earlier. Okay, the name was Hudson project. Okay, that particular project was started in 2004 by Sun Microsystem. Okay, but in 2010 the Hudson community with respect to the infrastructure used, they have some conflict about it. Okay, and then finally there were some negotiation happened between Oracle and the Hudson group. Okay, and then in 2011 this due to some conflict the name from Hudson project to Jenkins got, means this particular project got a new name called Jenkins. Okay, now on February 1 2011, Oracle said that they intended to continue development of Hudson and considered the Jenkins a fork rather than a rename. As of December 2016, the Jenkins organization on GitHub had 638 project members and around 1800 public repositories, compared with Hudson's 32 project members and 17 public repositories. Okay, so due to this conflict between Hudson and this Hudson project, this in 2010, in fact in 11, this Hudson project got renamed to Jenkins. Okay, but later Oracle said that instead of renaming it, we'll just fork out one new branch of this as a Jenkins, and we'll continue work on the Hudson project. Okay, but even though they started keep working on that, but Jenkins got too much popularity, and right now by 2000 not right now but by 2016-17 they had around 638 project members working on Jenkins, and they had around 1800 public repositories. But if you compare that, in the same time Hudson got only 32 project members and 17 public repository. Okay, but nowadays due to this less usage of Hudson is not maintained anymore, and then Jenkins is the replacement for it. Okay, so Jenkins builds and tests. So what this Jenkins is doing, it will just build and test our software, but it will do continuously and continuously monitor the execution and status of the jobs that we are running inside the Jenkins, so that it is making easier to the team members and users to regularly obtain the latest stable code. Okay, now first let's talk about what is continuous integration. Okay, so continuous integration is a development practice. Okay, because if you see whatever the new feature or the development is happening, that is happened at the development. Okay, so this continuous integration is should be the part of development practice in which developers are required to commit changes. Okay, so what they do is a developer will develop a new feature and they will commit the changes. Okay, and they will commit that changes in the shared repository, something like a git repository, right? We already have seen how we can work with the git, right? How we can push and pull the project to the repository, and then now every commit, okay, now this what this Jenkins is doing is, once the code is pushed to the remote repository, this Jenkins will just, once commit is coming, Jenkins will build and build that project and will run some certain use cases or test cases on that code. Okay, so due to this, what is happening, okay, by the time developer starts work on some other feature, they'll get to know that if there is any problem, okay, if there is any problem detected, this Jenkins will report it back to the developer. Okay, sorry. Now due to this, what is happening, even before releasing your software, due to this continuous integration, you get, if there is any um, a bug is there, then that will be detected very early, okay, in the very early stage. Okay, now due to this, the following are some benefits that we get. Okay, so the first benefit that we are going to talk is, it is catching issues fast and nip them in the bud. Okay, so what does that mean? Because here, once you push, okay, on the code, there itself will get to know that the problem. Okay, so we are identifying the problem very quickly, and then also once we identify it, fixing is we can easily fix it, right? So this is happening due to just a continuous integration, right? Otherwise, earlier what we are doing is developing that product or the software completely, and then we are able to release that product, and then the complete cycle of tests this test team will do, and if there is any problem, then it will come back to the testing team. Okay, but due to this automated process, a developer can quickly understand what is the problem. Okay, so and he can quickly go back and fix that problem and again retry. Now the next advantage that we have with the Jenkins is that, because this is a something like a repo, and once the test is done, this Jenkins is going to update this build to the everyone, right? Means once the build is done, is there any problem, or if there is any problem, the Jenkins will automatically send the updates through email to all the stakeholders of that particular repository. Okay, so everyone can see what is happening, is there any problem or what it is. Okay, now the next benefit that we get, the automating of build. Okay, so here what we developer has to do is, once code is done, they just need to update that code into the remote repository. So this Jenkins will take that code from that remote repository, automatically run some test. Okay, we call it as a job, and once that is done, if that succeed, it will inform that it succeed. If there is a problem, it will inform those problem as well. Okay, so this whole process is automated, so it is increasing the efficiency of work. Okay, now continuous integration leads to continuous deployment, allow us to deliver software more rapidly. Okay, so this the next advantage that we have to see is, what is happening due to this continuous integration, we are quickly able to identify the bugs, and then those bugs are quickly getting resolved as well. Okay, but again, in the meantime as well, we can continuously update this information to the deployment team. So in parallelly, we can also keep continuously deploy your application in the production, so that we can also find if there is any problem in the deployment area as well. Okay, the production area as well. Okay, now first let's try to understand this continuous integration with the help of diagram. So what we are doing, once the code is ready, okay, once the code is ready, we commit changes to the source code. Okay, if anything is done, we just commit that code to the remote repository. Okay, so once that is done, this continuous integration server, which contains three parts, means like something like build the code, test that code, and deploy that code. Okay, so these are the three tasks happens at the continuous integration server. So once we receive that source code, we perform all these three tasks. If everything goes well, give the feedback that everything is well. But if something went wrong, we need to pass that back to the developers. Okay, so developer can quickly understand, yeah, there is a problem, I need to fix it. Okay, and then again they will fix it, again give the new source code, again this continuous integration server will build the code, test it, and deploy it. Okay, if again everything goes well, give the feedback accordingly. Okay, so this is how this continuous integration cycle works. Okay, now so this is how typical continuous integration happens. Okay, so so what we are saying about continuous integration is, continuous integration does not get rid of bugs. Okay, so what does that mean? It is not correcting your bugs, okay, but it is really helping us to finding it, okay, and then we can quickly remove it. Okay, now Jenkins is just a framework. It achieves continuous integration by the help of plugins. It provides support for over 1000 plugins. So that means, in fact, Jenkins is just a framework. Okay, it is not doing everything at his own. Okay, it has support for more than 1000 plugin. So with the help of those plugin, we can integrate lot of things inside this Jenkins, and that is really helping our application to quickly build it, quickly find if there is any bug, and then we can report it back to the development team. Okay, now Jenkins supports plugin which allow Jenkins to be extended to meet a specific need of individual project. Okay, so in the previous slide as well we discussed, like there are more than 1000 plugins can be added in the Jenkins. Okay, so now these plugins we can integrate as per our need. Okay, so let's say I have a Java project that needs to be integrated with Jenkins. Now we know that to build your Java, okay, to build your Java project we need to have a Maven. Okay, so then this Maven plugin we can add in the Jenkins, which will help us to compile and build your Java project. Okay, now then if you want to test it, okay, test your Java project, we can use Selenium or JUnit to test your Java project. Okay, so then that testing plugin we can integrate. Okay, now next is if you want to show the reports. Okay, so to show the reports we have a lot of plugins. To take example, we have HTML publisher that we can use to show the reports. If you want to provide the notifications, build notifications to everybody, in that case we can use the Jenkins build notification plugin. And then for deployment we have a deployment plugin as well that we can use it. Okay, now how we can install and configure the Jenkins. Okay, so right now it's so depending on current version we can install the Jenkins, right, whatever the version. So if you want to install the latest Jenkins version, in that case you need to have the latest Java JDK as well, because this Jenkins is completely developed in the Java language. Okay, so we need to have JDK 1.7 and above to install the Jenkins. Then next we need to have a minimum 2 GB RAM on your system where you are installing Jenkins. Okay, but again this is totally depends on the load or the plugins or the test cases you are providing supporting on your Jenkins server. Okay, if that number is getting bigger, in that case on your host machine you need to have a better resource, compute resources. Okay, now disk space is okay. So we are talking about what are the configuration of the system that we required to install the Jenkins. Okay, so the first requirement that we talked is we need to have a JDK 1.7 or above. Okay, and then the memory, minimum memory that we required is a 2 GB RAM. Okay, but this is again very much depends on your the production capability or the system, the number of plugins that you are going to install, or the test cases that you are going to, or the job that you are going to create on the Jenkins. Okay, and then this is disk space is again that it's very much depends on that. So however, all builds will be stored on the Jenkins machine. It has to be ensured that sufficient disk space is available for build. Okay, now operating system, Jenkins can be installed on Windows, Ubuntu, Red Hat. So this Jenkins supports almost all the systems, right? So Java container, the war file can be run in any container that supports servlet. An example is Tomcat 5. Okay, so we'll get one war file. Okay, so war file is again extension of a Java related stuff. So we'll get this war file, and that can be run on anywhere where this servlet 2.4 or JSP 2.0 is supported. Okay, now how to do that? First we need to download Jenkins from the official website. Okay, then that latest release we can download from the command prompt. Browse to the directory where the Jenkins war file is present, and then we can simply java-jar run that war file. Okay, so extraction of the war file is done by embedded web server called Winstone. Okay, so Jenkins by default run on port 8080, but we can run it on different port by issuing following command. Okay, so by default this Jenkins runs on 8080, but if that port is occupied by some other application, then it's definitely possible to change that port. And how we can do that? While running the Jenkins.war, we need to pass one more parameter called HTTP port. So we need to pass like -- HTTP port equal to 8181. Okay, so this is how we can install Jenkins, and then if you want to change the port, that is also feasible. Now, so once this Jenkins is installed, it will be running in the local server. Then we need to start it something like this: HTTP localhost:8080/Jenkins. Okay, if you have changed the port, then you need to put this change this port here as well. So this is with this link you will be able to see the Jenkins dashboard. Okay, now we can now get the Jenkins Git setup enabled by clicking the manage Jenkins option, and then click the available tab and enter the search keyword, that is Git. Install the Git plugin and restart Jenkins by issuing this command on the browser. Okay, so on the browser, from the browser as well, we can definitely restart it. Now to restart, we can just hit this restart API. Okay, so this is how you can just start this Jenkins dashboard, and then we can also enable the Git plugin which is required to store our source code. Okay, now let's talk about the what all the securities that we need to manage. Okay, what all the things that we need to manage to secure your Jenkins server. The first thing is there can be a multiple users that can operate Jenkins for the same set of project holding different responsibility, right? So this is something like a role based authentication, because we cannot provide all the access to all the user, right? So what we do, we create a groups. Okay, so let's say I create a X group and Y group. Okay, so the user which are coming in X group will have some access for some sort of functionality, and then for the users who are in a Y group, they will have some sort of access. Okay, so it is very important to restrict access for users so they can operate on their responsibility in a controlled manner. Okay, so that is the reason we need to make sure that the right user is accessing the right component. Okay, so that is the reason we need to segregate this access to users depending on their roles and responsibility. Okay, so to manage access of user, click on manage Jenkins from the home page, click on the link configure global security, under access control you will see an authorization label. Okay, so with this authentication and authorization support provided by Jenkins, we need to use it in a better way so that your environment will be secured from accidental problems. Okay, now so now let's talk about creating a first job with Jenkins. Okay, so what is the job that we want to create? Is to create a new job. Okay, so if you want to create a new job in the Jenkins, then from the Jenkins dashboard, click on the new item, name your project and select your project type. Okay, the next thing is we need to configure the global configuration we need to do. So we need to select configuring global tool configuration. Here you can set the JDK path, Git configuration and Maven installation as per your project requirement. Okay, so in this example we are talking about the Java application where we need the Maven or Ant tools to install your Java project. So we can provide this JDK path, Git configuration and the Maven installation. Creating or updating if already created during project creation. Project configuration setting which may include general settings, source code management, build triggers, pre-steps, build, post steps, emailing notification regarding build and post build actions as per your project. Okay, so in this job what all things we can do? We can set up the all the necessary things that we need to perform, like the general settings that we required, we need to do that. The next thing is we can add the source code management, then how to trigger your build. Okay, so that is also we can definitely add this in the job. Then are there any steps that we need to perform before build trigger? That also we can add in the pre steps. Then how to build, we can do that. Then post steps, like after build what all the things we need to do, that also we can do. Then again if you want to send the notifications regarding build, that is also definitely possible while creating job. Okay, now so here are the list of references that we used for this particular presentation or also for the Jenkins learning. Okay, you can definitely reach out to these blogs and you'll get a lot of information like how we can set up the Jenkins. Okay, what is the benefits that we get from the Jenkins, then how to create job, what all the things we can create with the while creating job. Okay, so that's it. In the next video we'll talk about practically how we can set up and all. Okay.